Hi, I'm Alan in this video. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to more Geometry Dash. Today, we're going to be discussing what I consider probably the biggest fumble in the history of Geometry Dash, the decision of the daemon list to allow physics bypass on 2.2 permanently for any level that has been verified and released prior to 2.2, meaning that any level released in 2.1 or earlier, you are allowed to use physics bypass for, and I want to discuss why I think this is an awful idea. Firstly, I want to preface, I will forever think that physics bypass is cheating. Full stop. There is nothing that will convince me otherwise because of the following reasons that I'm going to be talking about and why I think so. I'm not going to be swayed. This video is not meant to sway any other people's opinions. I just want to share what I personally believe because I genuinely think that because of the influence the daemon list has, this is a bad idea. A very bad idea. Firstly, I should probably explain what the difference between physics bypass on 2.2 and the regular FPS bypass is on 2.1, because a lot of people are getting that confused because it's very hard to explain. Now, the easiest way for me personally to explain what the difference is between 2.1 and 2.2 bypass is the fact that in 2.1, your FPS and your physics were reliant on the hertz of your monitor. You had VSync, which would upscale or downscale your FPS depending on the refresh rate of your monitor. You could achieve any refresh you wanted and in turn physics that you wanted simply by having higher FPS or having a higher hertz monitor. The reason why bypass was allowed in 2.1 was because you were locked to having expensive equipment to achieve the same results. You were forced to have a 240 hertz monitor if you wanted to play on 240 FPS. So bypass allowed you to upscale freely to that refresh rate, unreliant on the monitor and device that you had, and that allowed to even out the playing field. In 2.2, you can set your own FPS value, so there is no need for this, because even if you have a 60 hertz monitor, you can still play on 240 FPS in the game because of the upscale that you have with free and unlocked FPS. Go into your settings, click unlock FPS, type in 240, click apply, and then you play on 240 FPS. Physics bypassing 2.2 is not achievable within vanilla GD. You are required to download and use Mega Hack to achieve the physics bypass in 2.2. This is where I personally draw the line for what is cheating and what isn't. Anything that you can achieve that gives you a very clear-cut advantage when playing the game that you cannot achieve in vanilla GD regardless is cheating. Stuff like hitbox, show hitbox, and all that stuff, they're conveniences, but they don't give a clear-cut advantage. Yes, they are convenient because you save a little bit of time and all that stuff with like Arbiter Switcher, but they weren't a clear-cut advantage. Physics bypass, it makes the game play easier. People just do not want to adapt to the change of 2.2. So they're like, oh, we're gonna allow physics bypass, which is literally impossible to achieve in vanilla 2.2 because it makes the game easier for us. It is a convenience that is literally changing how the game plays because it makes the game easier for them. Setting this precedent is incredibly dangerous because I personally believe that in the future, having this precedent of this tool makes it easier and more convenient for us to play, therefore we are going to allow it, will also spill over to other tools that are going to be coming out in the future that are by all regards cheating, but it's fine because it gives you an advantage and it makes the game easier and it makes it more fun. Right? That is a bad thing. A very bad thing. I think most of this stems from the fact that people are just unwilling to change and adapt to the new physics. PersonHuman42 is a great example. He was playing Minus Drive for like a month, almost 2 months on 2.1. Then 2.2 came out and he beat it on 2.2 without Mega Hack on anything. And it was like, yeah, it didn't change that much. I think people are just unwilling to try to adapt. Therefore, they are trying to find any straw to pull at so that they can find ways to make the game play easier like it did in 2.1. It isn't even that big of a change. It's just that people are just they're so used to how it used to play that the idea of change is just unreasonable. And I don't like this. With physics bypass being allowed, in my opinion, I think it kind of like detracts from the purpose of the list to begin with. I'm pretty sure none of the people who are currently on the list team were on the list team back when it was made or even played the game when it was made. Because when the list was originally made, the idea of the list was, here are the hardest levels. These are the people who are capable of beating these levels legitimately. A highlight on the people who were capable of beating the levels legitimately. Now with physics bypass, where you can cheat freely, you're allowed to cheat. In my opinion, there is no saying whether or not the people who are on this list of people who have completed the levels are legitimate, because how can you tell without clicking the video? The daemon list holds so much influence within the community that people see what they do, take their decision as fact, and then they're like, okay, yeah, that's just how it is now. The amount of times I've played Serix Never Clear and been told Aeon actually hard machine is harder because the list said so is absurd. Despite the fact that pretty much no one that I know who has played both agree that it is harder, people just say it because the list said so. And if the list says physics bypass is allowed, it is not cheating, then it will split the community because the leaderboards, Rob Top himself and his moderator team says that it is not allowed. The daemon list says it's allowed. He's going to split people because they're like, oh, but it's convenient for us. Our player community does not care about the rest of the community. It just bothers me how they are so actively trying to tear the community apart because it conveniences them. It is so frustrating to me as a person who has been in the top player community for such a long time to see Demon List go so far as to allow cheating because it's a convenience. You may not agree that it is cheating, and I know a lot of people won't agree that it is cheating, but I think that the precedent of it is not achievable in vanilla GD, it is cheating because it gives you a clear, distinct advantage in gameplay, should be enough to be like, okay, yeah, that's cheating. I just wanted to talk about this because I think it is a genuine issue for the list to take this kind of liberty to allow something like this. Whether or not you agree, it is up to you. I'm not going to try and sway anyone here. I just wanted to put out what I think because I want to be a mitigator so that people just don't jump on the, oh, but physics bypass is allowed because the demon list said so. So yeah, I'll see you guys around. Eat your yourself. It's hydrated. Think we're making my day better. Hope my neighbors a little bit better too. Keep it clean. Keep it civil. If you want to discuss this, do not attack anyone. Just discuss it formally. Agree to disagree if you cannot come to a common ground. I just wanted to talk about this because it genuinely infuriates me. So yeah, I'll see you guys around. Take care, everyone. Peace out. Love you all.